SAR for missing boy to resume tomorrow. Sarawak inks agreement with Indonesia for hydroelectric project. Flash flood inundates 14th mile. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Cheryl Shaminato, and this is TVS Nightline. As the day comes to an end, no leads have been found on the second day of the search and rescue operation for the missing 4-year-old boy, Eric Chung. The search today covered an area of 3 nautical miles from the WIRA to Bus Jetty and ended at about 6 p.m. today due to heavy rain, which concerns the safety of the search team on duty. Earlier, Eric's parents stopped by the crime scene twice to lament over the loss of her first child. The 25-year-old mother, Dynasty Chang Ka-hui, was denied entry at first as she, along with her husband and relatives, did not identify themselves to the authorities manning the area at noon. They then returned to the scene at about 3:45 p.m. and it was a solemn moment for the mother as she broke down in tears and muttered words of despair. Dynasty, who is also 7 months pregnant, almost collapsed due to her overwhelming emotions, but was fortunately caught in time by her husband and relatives. The SAR will continue tomorrow at 7 a.m. On the same development, the public has been told to refrain from speculating on the missing case of Eric Chung, as investigations by the police are currently ongoing. Sarawak United People's Party SUPP Central Youth Secretary Milton Fu called upon the public to remain calm and not become emotional despite the case is marred by strong feelings.
We hold this PC to urge the public to stay calm and patient. Do not make any speculations or wild allegations. Jangan buat apa-apa spekulasi atau angkaan yang tidak berasas. Give room to PDRM, to the police, untuk siasatan, to investigate the case thoroughly dan professionally. Let justice to be seen, to be done to little Eric Chan Wee-Jiet, and prosecute the assassins, if any.
Meanwhile, Taman Riverview Village Development and Security Committee Chairman Kapitan C.C. Chung said this is the first such incident happening in the area.
Lebih kurang 15 orang ahli untuk mencari budak yang hilang. Kami mendapati dari orang ramai bagi tahu pada lebih kurang pada jam pukul 9:30 malam. Jadi kami terus cari kawasan seluruh Bintawak, termasuk Taman Riverview, Taman Bintawak Village, dan termasuk kawasan industry area. Jadi tamat pada pukul 12, lebih kurang 11:30 hingga 12.
Last Monday, 4-year-old Eric Chung was reported missing around 9 a.m. at his caretaker's house in Bintawak, following which police detained 4 individuals, including the victim's mother and father, to assist in the investigation pursuant to Section 31(1) of the Child Act 2001. On Sunday, the police have reclassified the case as murder. Police have also extended the remand order for 2 individuals, including the caretaker, until March 16 to further facilitate investigation. And now on to the next update. Sarawak today inked the Heads of Agreement or HOA with Indonesia for the joint development of the Mentarang Indu Hydroelectric project. Leading Sarawak delegation was Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Ahmad Awang Tengah Ali Hassan, who expressed Sarawak's appreciation to the Indonesian government for the continuous support and assistance towards the project.
The 4-eye meeting between Awang Tengah and Indonesia's coordinating Minister of Maritime and Investment Affairs, Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, saw Sarawak government's support for the development of MIHAP through the participation of Sarawak Energy via its joint venture company, PT Kayan Hydropower Nusantara. Through the inking, Sarawak Energy and PT Kayan Patra Pertama, as the shareholders of PT Kayan Hydropower Nusantara, will develop a partnership with PT Adoro for the development of the project. The MIHAP partnership would support Indonesia's renewable energy-based industrial development agenda via the supply of renewable energy to Kalimantan Industrial Park, Indonesia, Tanah Kuning. He added Sarawak's involvement in hydroelectric development in North Kalimantan could be traced since 2016 through the Sarawak West Kalimantan Interconnection Project. The MIHAP sits in the Mentarang River in the Malinau Regency, North Kalimantan Province, and capable of generating 1,375 megawatts of power.
In its goal to achieve a developed state status by 2030, the Sarawak government is ever committed to produce more technical talents and industry-ready graduates. One such action is through the various programs and training offered at the Centre of Technical Excellence, CENTEX.
Because our needs and industries may differ from other states and other countries, but we are getting hopefully niche areas where we can produce our own strength.
He said this at a press conference during a visit to CENTEX on Monday. Elaborating further, he said almost all programs offered at CENTEX are adopting digital technology. CENTEX also collaborates with industry experts in various technical fields to ensure that the graduates are sensitive to the state's industrial needs. This is also in unison with the Sarawak digital economy as envisioned by Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg.
On the other hand, a Sarawakian couple perished in a freak accident believed to have been electrocuted in a rented flat in Cameron Highlands last Thursday was safely laid to rest at a Christian burial site in Shah Alam on Monday. Among those paying their last respects to the couple include State Minister for Women, Childhood and Community Wellbeing Development, Datuk Sri Fatimah Abdullah.
In her Facebook update this morning, Fatima revealed that she attended the couple's burial ceremony and extended her condolences to the family of the deceased. Both victims hailed from Sarawak. Fatima also disclosed that the 3 surviving children, aged 2, 4 and 10 years old, would be returning to Kuching and will be under the care of their relative who would act as their temporary guardian. On Thursday, the husband and wife were found dead, believed to be due to electrocution in their flat unit bathroom in Taman Puncak Tringkap, Brinchang on Thursday morning. Preliminary investigation found burn marks on the palm of the 35-year-old wife, who was believed to have been electrocuted when she went to help her 46-year-old husband, who was showering using the water heater when the incident occurred. The couple's 3 children were unharmed in the incident.
Meanwhile, the implementation of the National Digital Network or JENDELA Phase 1 in Sarawak will help drive the state government's aspiration to achieve a developed status by 2030. Therefore, it is important to provide digital infrastructure which is extensive and of quality to support the state government-driven initiative, especially in the implementation of digital economy initiatives such as the SPECULATE Global e-wallet application and Kuching Smart City.
Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission MCMC Sarawak Director Adiman Ajam said that several strategic action plans by the state government, such as the Sarawak Digital Economy Strategy and Post-COVID-19 Development Strategy 2030, were the catalyst for success. In November 2021, the federal government announced an allocation of 4.09 billion ringgit for Sarawak to implement Phase 1 of the JENDELA initiative to expand and improve broadband services and also for the transition to 5G technology. The Phase 1 of the initiative involved four main components, namely the expansion of fiber optic coverage to premises, the construction of new 4G towers, the upgrading of transmitting stations to 4G technology, and the provision of broadband services through satellite technology. Under JENDELA, a total of 824 4G towers will be built, and so far 82 have been completed, while the remaining 742 towers will be completed in stages this year until the third quarter of 2023. Moreover, 2,400 transmitter stations have been upgraded to 4G. Meanwhile, fiber optic coverage in Sarawak have thus far reached 76,000 out of the target 116,000 premises covered by fiber optic access. As for broadband services through satellite technology in areas previously not covered, he said that 533 locations were planned under JENDELA Phase 1, of which 464 locations have been covered, while the rest would be completed before this May.
A new sports facility will be featured in Meradong's development plan. The 2.8 million ringgit basketball stadium, equipped with modern facilities, has entered the second phase of the construction. Once completed, the facility would serve as an avenue to cultivate young talent as well as to foster better relations between the constituents through various activities.
Meradong Assemblyman Datuk Ding Kwong Hing said the implementation of this project proves the government's credentials in meeting the people's needs.
Stadium bola keranjang Bintango sekarang sudah masuk fasa 2. Fasa 1 sudah siap. So fasa 2 is ongoing and is progressing well. So hopefully dapat siap bulan April atau Mei, nanti boleh sambung fasa ketiga untuk siapkan semua struktur di.
Therefore, Kwong urged the support and cooperation of all parties so that the implementation of the project worth 2.8 million ringgit will run smoothly and finish according to schedule. Additionally, the Bintangor Basketball Stadium will also be a place to produce more young talented athletes in the field of sports as it provides a comfortable infrastructure. The project allocation distributed through the Rural Transformation Program of the Meradong Dun was approved by the Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg.
to be inundated with flash flood water. The flash flood occurred around 6 p.m. during the rush hour. The Fire and Rescue Department deployed an asset to monitor the situation and inform that no untoward incident occurred. The flood monitoring operation ended at 7:30 p.m. Earlier, Met Malaysia has issued a heavy rain and thunderstorm warning in several areas in Sarawak, including Kuching, Samarahan, Sibu, Bintulu and Limbang. Following the just concluded Johor State election, Gabungan Party Sarawak or GPS Secretary General Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalinggi said Johorians now can look forward to a more stable government under Barisan Nasional or BN after their landslide victory on Saturday. He said one of the most important pillars for the well-being of the people is a stable administration. The Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister said that as the country is now heading towards the transition to endemic phase, the rakyat's well-being and economic recovery should be the main focus. In his congratulatory message to BN, he called upon all politicians from both sides of the divide to focus all efforts to develop Johor and restore the state and national economy. This, he said, would ease the burden of the people. He added the people of Johor have made a choice and all parties must respect the decision. At the 15th Johor State polls on Saturday, BN won a windswept victory by winning 40 out of 56 seats contested. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin has advised the people to reduce dependence on the reverse transcription or RT-PCR screening and instead use rapid test kits as we are heading towards the transition to the endemic phase of COVID-19. In a 2-minute video posted on Twitter today, he said the antigen rapid test kit or RTKAG is more effective in tackling the Omicron wave as it gives results in just 15 minutes. He also added that the RTKAG is also cheaper than RT-PCR and is readily available on the market. Khairi said those tested positive on RTKAG should immediately undergo quarantine and need not seek a confirmation test through RT-PCR screening. Health Ministry through the Medical Device Authority (MDA) had been directed to continue monitoring the quality of COVID-19 self-test kits in the market and take action on products which did not meet the required standards. The Keluarga Malaysia Education Tour Program, organised by Yayasan Prihatin Nasional, can help realise the aspirations of rural students to further their studies at the tertiary level. According to statistics from 2016 to 2021, there were 50,000 SPM graduates who weren't able to be given a second chance to pursue their higher education, in which the education agenda has always been one of the government's main priorities in helping the people, and various policies and initiatives have been implemented to achieve the goal.
The Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri YAAKOB said the tour, which took place in 50 different localities throughout the country for 2 months, should be fully utilized by rural students. Through this tour, which is a continuation of the previous Bumiputra Education Tour program, the program also welcomes the cooperation of various parties, including government agencies and private sectors.
Fokus kita adalah untuk membantu keluarga-keluarga miskin, untuk membantu pelajar-pelajar daripada kawasan dua bandar pendalaman. Dari segi pendidikannya, dari segi fasilitasnya mungkin tidak mempunyai padang permainan yang sama rata dengan pelajar-pelajar yang berada di bandar-bandar besar. Jadi dengan adanya program pendidikan jelajah ini, patut kita boleh melihat pelajar-pelajar yang sedikit ketinggalan akibat daripada status keluarga mereka dari segi pendapatan dan juga dari segi kedudukan mereka.
He said this during the JPKM at the Pahang state level on Sunday. According to Ismail Sabri, This program can also help qualified students who experience application problems in the past. At the ceremony, Ismail Sabri also presented a 4 million ringgit mock check from Federal Territorial Islamic Religious Council to Prihatin for education sponsorship in conjunction with JPKM at the regional level, as well as 1 million ringgit each from Unitar International University and Petronas Foundation.
Over 51,000 online fraud cases, which incurred more than 1.6 billion ringgit in losses, were reported from 2019 to last year. Deputy Home Affairs Minister Datuk Jonathan Yassin stated that the highest was online purchases with 18,857 cases, followed by over 15,000 non-existent loan cases.
Pelbagai usaha telah dijalankan oleh PDRM untuk memerangi sindiket penipuan seperti ini, termasuklah dengan meningkatkan penguatkuasaan undang-undang, pengoperasian, tangkapan dan seterusnya menjalankan pendakwaan ke atas mereka yang terlibat.
He was answering to Su Kyong Seong Kampas MP's question at the Dewan Rakyat. Jonathan said the PDRM also created the CCID Scam Response Center, where members of the public could obtain information and validate calls for doubtful transactions. He said the police are planning and investigating studies as well as reviewing laws to ensure they are relevant to the current development issues. Additionally, the Consumer Protection Act 2007 would be under review to make sure it could curb all types of crimes taking place in the country.
Thank you for staying with me. And now on to our world affairs. Brunei took a stern stance on any forms of military invasion which the Sultanate says violates the sovereignty, independence and integrity of other countries, such as the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now TVS Brunei correspondent WIRA Gregory explains.
Between the early 2000s to the present year of today, not too long ago, the world had just witnessed the end to one of the longest and iconic wars of the 21st century by way of the Afghanistan War. With the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan in early 2020, there are still many that are recovering from the impact that it had on the world. Suffice it to say, Russia's recent invasion of Ukraine on the 24th of February of this very year was a global shock to many, to say the least. With there being no shortage of countries that have been concerned by the escalation of this current conflict, the nation of Negara Brunei Darussalam is no different. As of 2 days after the conflict began in Ukraine, Brunei Darussalam issued a statement that, quote, expressed concern over the escalation and said it condemns any violation of sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of any country. Still, true to being known as the abode of peace, Brunei's statement calls on all parties involved to de-escalate tensions and settle all differences by peaceful means. Despite the conflict taking place far from Brunei, it is no secret that the ASEAN region itself is currently facing a little bit of crossroads. Although some of the ASEAN community have reflected the same thoughts of maintaining neutrality, as it stands, Singapore is currently the only Southeast Asian country to have promised sanctions against Moscow. On the other side of the coin, Myanmar has stated that Russian action was justified, with the international community objectively noting that Russia has remained to be one of Myanmar's few allies during the latter's military coup d'etat. With ASEAN soon to issue an official immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, one can only wonder what the future holds for the rest of the world. With a lot of the current generation of today having been born to witness the start and the end of a historic 20-year conflict in Afghanistan, all that can be said about the ongoing escalations is that we are once more living in history. YAAKOB Gregory, TVS, Brunei.
Now, at least 2 people were killed and 3 injured when a shell hit a residential building in Kiev on Monday morning. According to Ukrainian Interior Ministry advisor Anton Gervashenko, 2 people were killed and 3 were hospitalized. The building was set ablaze and wounded residents were seen being evacuated. Ukraine reported renewed airstrikes on an airport in the west, heavy shelling on Chernihiv northeast of the capital, and attacks on the southern town of Mykolaiv, where officials said 9 people were killed. Kiev authorities said they were stockpiling 2 weeks' worth of essential food items for the 2 million people who have not yet fled the capital. The streets of Beijing were filled on Sunday with residents watching fireworks amid tight security as the Chinese capital hosted the closing ceremony of the 2022 Paralympic Games, with some praising the Games for having an encouraging effect on children to take up sports.
本来在运动这个方面，我们一直非常的鼓励他，因为他本身在学这个轮滑，然后谷爱凌夺得这个金牌之后呢，孩子也有非常强烈的学滑雪的愿望，所以我们也带他去滑了单板，孩子的表现还是不错的，尤其是他身边的这些小朋友，今年看完奥运之后，我觉得总体运动的这种意愿都更加的强了，
Other residents praised the efforts of the Chinese Paralympians, which saw the country top the medal tally.
今天晚上是残奥会的闭幕式，然后我们今天也有相应的一些保障的一些工作，然后我们也会实时的看这个直播，然后这个演出之类的，然后我也关注到中国队取得了一个非常好的一个成绩，应该是奖牌榜应该是第1位。
残疾人相当不容易，说实话，他们虽然身体残疾，但是他们的心不残疾，为国争光。 特别棒。
Chinese President Xi Jinping attended the closing ceremony along with International Paralympic Committee President Andrew Parsons, who described the Paralympians as beacons of hope and champions for peace in his closing remarks.
Well, that concludes TVS Nightline for tonight, and as always, thank you for tuning in to your local news tonight. Here with me, Shol Shameto, and I'll see you next time. Have a good morning.